The Gift, Chapter 1, A Weary Light. The flickering emergency lights cast an unsettling glow on the bridge of the Argonaut. Captain Ramirez traced a finger along the holographic display, a tired sigh escaping his lips. The battered hull of the Xylar cruiser, limping alongside them, was a stark reminder of the hell they just emerged from. "Damage report!" Ramirez rasped, his voice rough from the constant yelling over the din of battle. Lieutenant Tanaka, her dark eyes shadowed with exhaustion, tapped away at her console. "Main engines at 72%, Captain. We lost a significant chunk of the hull plating during the last barrage. Life support's holding for now, but—" She trailed off, the unspoken worry hanging heavy in the air. Ramirez nodded grimly. They'd pushed the Argonaut to its limits during the daring rescue mission, a desperate gamble to save the Xylarians from the clutches of the ruthless warlord, Zardon. The victory, hard-fought and costly, came with the sobering weight of their own precarious situation. A low hum resonated from the comm system. Ramirez straightened, a flicker of annoyance crossing his face. Now wasn't the time for pleasantries. "Bridge here," he answered curtly. A holographic image of Elder Zelia, the Xylar leader, shimmered into existence. Her once vibrant blue skin was ashen, etched with the lines of a lifetime spent in struggle. Despite the obvious strain, her eyes held a flicker of gratitude. "Captain Ramirez," she began, her voice raspy, "words cannot express the debt of gratitude we owe you and your crew. You have saved our people from a fate worse than death." Ramirez inclined his head, a curt nod that spoke volumes. They weren't in the business of accolades. They did what they did because it was the right thing to do. But a flicker of pride warmed his chest nonetheless. "Our scanners have detected a suitable refueling station within your jump range, Captain," Elder Zelia continued. "We insist you and your crew use it before continuing your journey." Ramirez frowned. He understood the Xylarians' desire to repay their debt, but they were running low on more than just fuel. Their medical supplies were dwindling, and the crew desperately needed shore leave to mend both their physical and mental wounds. He glanced at Dr. Amelia Sharma, the ship's brilliant young xenobiologist, who stood quietly observing the exchange. Her brow was furrowed in thought, her gaze fixed on the holographic image of Elder Celia. "With all due respect, Elder Zelia," Ramirez began, choosing his words carefully, "our crew is in no condition to continue immediately. We require repairs, resupply, and most importantly, some time for rest and recuperation." Elder Zalia's holographic form flickered slightly, a hint of understanding softening her features. "Of course, Captain. I apologize for my oversight. There is a small Xylar outpost on the designated refueling station. They will be honored to provide you with whatever assistance you require." Ramirez hesitated for a moment, then nodded in acceptance. "Very well, Elder Zelia. We appreciate your hospitality." The transmission ended, leaving a heavy silence in its wake. Ramirez turned to Dr. Sharma, catching the glint of curiosity in her eyes. "Something on your mind, Doctor?" he asked. Dr. Sharma stepped forward, a peculiar object clutched in her hand. It looked like a simple vine, brown and unremarkable, yet she held it with a reverence that piqued Ramirez's interest. "During our brief interaction on the Xylar cruiser," she began, her voice filled with a quiet intensity, "Elder Zelia gifted me this. She wouldn't elaborate on its significance, but I have a feeling there's more to it than meets the eye." Chapter 2. Whispers in the Lab. The sterile hum of the laboratory lights was a stark contrast to the chaos of the past few days. Dr. Amelia Sharma carefully placed the Xylar Vine she'd received from Elder Zelia on a pristine examination table. It was far from impressive visually, a thin brown tendril with a few dried leaves clinging to its wiry frame. Yet the memory of Elder Zelia's unspoken reverence lingered, sparking an undeniable curiosity within Amelia. She meticulously documented the vine's physical characteristics, her brow furrowing in concentration. "Anything interesting, Doc?" Amelia glanced up to find Lieutenant Tanaka leaning against the lab doorway, a mug of steaming coffee cradled in her hand. The past few days had etched lines of fatigue on her usually vibrant face, but a spark of curiosity flickered in her dark eyes. "Hard to say," Amelia admitted, tapping the holographic display hovering above the vine. "It's definitely not Earth flora. No familiar biosignatures I can recognize." "Maybe it's some kind of Xylar delicacy?" Tanaka offered, a playful smirk tugging at the corner of her lips. Amelia chuckled softly. Doubtful. Elder Zelia wouldn't have presented it with such significance if it were just a snack. Tanaka took a sip of her coffee, her gaze lingering on the vine. So what's the next step? Genetic analysis? Amelia nodded, gesturing towards the automated sample extractor whirring to life beside her. First things first, let's see what its genetic makeup tells us. The hours that followed were a blur of activity. Amelia meticulously ran the sample through a battery of tests, her frustration mounting with each negative result. The vine remained stubbornly enigmatic, its DNA sequence unlike anything she'd encountered before. Just as exhaustion began to blur her focus, a faint anomaly bleeped on her scanner. She zoomed in, her heart skipping a beat as an unfamiliar sequence of nucleotides jumped off the screen. It wasn't a perfect match, but there were undeniable similarities to a dormant genetic code found in several Earth extremophiles organisms known for their ability to thrive in harsh environments. A sudden wave of excitement washed over her. Could this be the key? Could this seemingly unremarkable vine hold the potential for terraforming? The implications were staggering. Exhaustion momentarily forgotten, Amelia called up the station's main database, her fingers flying across the keyboard. She delved into research papers on extremophiles and their potential applications in planetary restoration, chasing down any sliver of information that might shed light on the Xylar Vine's secrets. Hours ticked by, the only sound in the lab the rhythmic beep of the scanner. Tanaka had reappeared at some point, silently refilling Amelia's coffee mug and keeping watch. Finally, Amelia slammed her fist on the table, a triumphant grin spreading across her face. I think I've got it, she declared, her voice buzzing with excitement. This vine, it has the potential to terraform barren planets. Chapter 3, A Sea of Doubt. Amelia's presentation unfolded on the holographic screen, a whirlwind of scientific jargon and complex diagrams. The faces of the assembled council members flickered with varying degrees of comprehension, ranging from furrowed brows to blank stares. Dr. Kapoor, the head of the xenobiology department, leaned forward, his voice laced with skepticism. So you're suggesting this vine possesses the ability to transform an entire planet into a habitable environment? Amelia took a deep breath, pushing down a flicker of annoyance. The potential is certainly there, Dr. Kapoor. The unique genetic structure of the vine seems to mimic certain extremophiles on Earth, organisms capable of terraforming hostile environments. Intriguing, another council member, a stern-faced woman with streaks of silver in her hair, chimed in. But wouldn't such a technology be disruptive to the galactic order? Amelia straightened, her gaze meeting the councilwoman's. Disruptive? Why? Isn't the goal of the galactic cooperative to promote life and prosperity across the galaxy? A murmur of agreement rippled through the room, followed by a low cough from Dr. Kapoor. The potential for misuse is undeniable, Dr. Sharma. Imagine a power capable of terraforming any planet at will. The political and territorial implications are quite concerning. Amelia felt a surge of frustration. Dr. Kapoor's concerns were valid, but they couldn't let fear cripple them. We can develop safeguards, protocols to ensure the Xylar Vine is used responsibly. This could be a game-changer, Doctor. Imagine revitalizing entire biomes, offering hope to countless struggling species. The council members exchanged glances, their expressions a mix of uncertainty and intrigue. Captain Ramirez, who had remained silent throughout the presentation, finally spoke up. Dr. Sharma, can you quantify the effectiveness of this vine? How long would it take to terraform a barren planet? Amelia smiled, a sense of vindication washing over her. Ramirez, ever the pragmatist, was looking at the practicalities. She gestured towards the holographic display, highlighting a series of simulations. Based on my initial analysis, Captain, the process could take anywhere from a few decades to a century, depending on the severity of the environmental damage. It wouldn't be an overnight solution, but the potential for long-term restoration is undeniable. The discussion continued for another hour, a heated debate between the optimists and the cautious pragmatists. Amelia fielded questions, countered arguments, and passionately argued the potential benefits of the Xylar Vine. In the end, a decision was made. A small-scale test project was approved, a desolate moon orbiting a gas giant chosen as the proving ground. The resources would be limited, The risk significant, but it was a start. As Amelia left the council chambers, a wave of relief washed over her. They had a chance to prove the power of the Xylar Vine and the potential for humanity to play a positive role in the vast tapestry of the galaxy. But a nagging doubt lingered. Would this seemingly simple vine truly live up to its extraordinary potential? Only time would tell. Chapter 4. A Spark in the Void. The desolate moon loomed ahead, a barren rock hanging lifeless in the inky blackness of space. Amelia gripped the armrest of the observation deck, a knot of anticipation twisting in her stomach. Years of research, tireless debate, and endless simulations had culminated in this moment. Today, the Xylar Vine would face its first real test. Beside her, Captain Ramirez stood silent, his gaze fixed on the approaching moon. His usual stoicism held a tinge of worry, a silent acknowledgement of the weight of their endeavor. A low rumble filled the observation deck as the ship descended, the barren landscape of the moon sprawling beneath them. Craters pockmarked the surface, a testament to countless eons of bombardment. There was no atmosphere, no liquid water, just a desolate expanse of dust and rock. A tense silence hung in the air as a team of engineers, clad in bulky biosuits, deployed the Xylar Vine canisters on the moon's surface. The canisters, packed with carefully cultivated vines and a nutrient-rich gel, hissed as they opened, releasing their green tendrils onto the lifeless ground. Days bled into weeks, then months. The crew aboard the orbiting ship maintained a vigilant watch, their instruments trained on the developing Xylar network. Hope battled with doubt in Amelia's heart. Would this be a triumph or a crushing failure? Finally, a faint flicker registered on their bioscanners. A single blip, barely noticeable at first, but undeniable nonetheless. Amelia zoomed in, her breath catching in her throat. A patch of green, barely perceptible against the barren landscape, had emerged. The blips multiplied over the next few days, spreading slowly but steadily across the moon's surface. The faint green tendrils of the Xylar Vine, fueled by the carefully calibrated nutrient gel, began to weave their magic. Weeks turned into months. The green patch on the moon's surface expanded, slowly but surely transforming the desolate landscape. Amelia spent countless hours poring over the data, a sense of awe washing over her with each new observation. The Xylar Vine wasn't simply surviving, it was thriving. It was transforming the barren rock into a nascent ecosystem, creating pockets of breathable air and even a rudimentary form of soil. It was a slow process, a testament to the delicate balance of terraforming, but it was undeniable progress. One day, a transmission crackled through the comms, Captain Ramirez's voice filled with an uncharacteristic tremor of excitement. "Dr. Sharma, you need to see this." Amelia rushed to the bridges, her heart pounding. On the main view screen, a feed from a robotic drone relayed the transformation unfolding on the moon's surface. Patches of green now covered a significant portion of the landscape, and a thin haze, a nascent atmosphere, hung over the horizon. Tears welled up in Amelia's eyes. It was a small step, a tiny speck in the vastness of space, but it was a human-made miracle nonetheless. The Xylar Vine, a seemingly ordinary gift from a grateful people, was proving to be a revolutionary force. As they watched the green tendrils continue their slow dance of change, a newfound sense of optimism filled the bridge of the Argonaut. The galaxy was a vast and often unforgiving place, but humanity, with a little ingenuity and a touch of compassion, had the power to make a difference. Chapter 5. Seeds of Hope. Decades had passed since the successful terraforming project on the barren moon. News of the Xylar Vine's potential had spread like wildfire across the galaxy, and humanity found itself thrust into the unexpected role of galactic gardeners. Dr. Amelia Sharma, now a revered figure in the scientific community, stood before a packed auditorium on the Xylar homeworld. The once war-torn planet, revitalized by the Xylar Vine, now teemed with life. Vibrant flora carpeted the landscape, and Xylarians, their faces etched with gratitude, filled the seats. The Xylar Vine project has been a remarkable journey, Amelia began, her voice amplified for the vast hall. It serves as a testament to the power of collaboration and the potential for positive change. A wave of applause rippled through the crowd. Amelia smiled, a flicker of pride warming her chest. They had come a long way since that fateful rescue mission. The Xylar Vine, once a simple gift, had blossomed into a symbol of hope for countless struggling worlds. The presentation concluded, and Amelia found herself surrounded by a throng of Xylarians, their voices buzzing with questions and excitement. A young Xylar scientist, her blue skin shimmering under the lights, approached Amelia, her eyes filled with curiosity. "Dr. Sharma," she began, her voice filled with a youthful eagerness, "we've noticed some unexpected mutations in the Xylar Vine on certain planets. It seems to be adapting to the specific environments." Amelia's brow furrowed. Mutations in the vine? That hadn't been part of their initial observations. "Can you elaborate?" she asked, her voice laced with concern. The young scientist launched into a detailed explanation, displaying holographic images of the mutated vines. While some mutations seemed beneficial, accelerating the terraforming process, others appeared more erratic. A shiver ran down Amelia's spine. The Xylar Vine was a powerful tool, and like any powerful tool, it carried inherent risks. The thought of unintended consequences, of the vine's unpredictable mutations wreaking havoc on ecosystems, filled her with a sense of foreboding. Suddenly, a booming voice cut through the crowd. Ambassador Zardon, his face a mask of stoicism, pushed his way through the throng. The Zardonians, once skeptical of the Xylar Vine, had become vocal critics of its widespread use. "Dr. Sharma," Ambassador Zardon declared, his voice dripping with a feigned concern, "these mutations, are they not a cause for alarm? Unforeseen consequences? Ecological disasters? Are these not the very warnings we raised years ago?" A murmur of unease rippled through the crowd. Amelia straightened, her gaze meeting the ambassador's. "The Xylar Vine is a complex organism," she admitted, "and yes, there are potential risks. But through collaboration and ongoing research, we can mitigate those risks and ensure its responsible use." The ambassador scoffed. "Collaboration? You humans are quick to claim credit for this technology. The Xylar Vine belongs to the Xylarians, not some self-proclaimed galactic gardeners." A tense silence descended upon the auditorium. Amelia felt a wave of anger rise within her, but she forced it down. Now was not the time for accusations. They needed a united front, a display of cooperation to quell the rising fear. "Ambassador Zardon," she began, her voice firm but conciliatory, "the Xylar Vine is a gift to the galaxy, a responsibility we all share. Let us work together, Xylarians, Terrans, and all others, to ensure its potential is used for the betterment of all." Her words hung in the air, a silent plea for unity. The Xylar elder, Zelia, stepped forward, her gaze locking with Amelia's. A flicker of understanding passed between them, a shared determination to navigate the unforeseen challenges that lay ahead. The future remained uncertain, but as Amelia surveyed the faces in the auditorium, a sliver of hope remained. Together they might just weather the storm and nurture a brighter future for the galaxy.